Hello taxpayers, today is August 17th, 2021. I want to talk about write-offs, specifically business write-offs. Now, I want to first start out with non-reimbursed employee business expenses. So if you're an employee on a W-2 and you have to buy things out of pocket to do your job, unfortunately you can't take those as write-offs with the IRS. This is new under the Trump Tax Cuts and Jobs Act a few years ago. Where you can't take non-reimbursed expenses as write-offs if you're on a W-2. Now this is different than write-offs if you have your own business. If you're self-employed, if you run a business, of course, if you have expenses related to keeping that business afloat, day-to-day expenses, you can write those off. But again, it needs to be your business, whether you're self-employed or you have a corporation, but you cannot take write-offs if you're an employee. You can't take business write-offs if you're an employee. You have to be self-employed or own a business. Now, last year I was employed. I did have write-offs that were not reimbursed, so I kind of lost out on taking that as an expense against the IRS. But I was still able to take that expense to offset some of my California income. So depending on the state you're in, depending on everything else involved in your tax return, you can still take some of these write-offs against the state, but not the IRS. Now, for those self-employed like myself, those that own corporations, I want to talk about creative things you can do with write-offs. Now, here's my business card. Pretty straightforward. We all have one and doing what we do for work. I'm writing those off. That's advertising material. It's a legitimate ordinary and necessary expense for me to do what I do for work. Now, here we have a golf ball with my contact information on it. I have an argument that this is a piece of advertising material that I can take as an ordinary and necessary business write-off. Sure, I do have personal golf balls that I use when I go out and play, but these are different. My name's on it, my phone number's on it, and it's related to what I do for work. So I write these off. I hand them out, and whatever I paid for them, I'm gonna write off as an advertising expense. So the key here is it has to be ordinary and necessary. Like my putter, for instance, that's my putter. I'm not gonna write that off. But these balls, I hand them out to clients. I do not use them for personal use. They're simply a way for me to build my business and advertise. So these are good write-offs. I'm not sure what it is that you do for work, but if there are certain things like this where you can find an argument for an ordinary and necessary expense that can kind of be dual purpose, such as this golf ball, I mean, it's a little more fun than these business cards. Whatever my client decides to do with this, that's for them to decide. But for me, I paid for this, I put my business contact information on there, so I'm writing it off. I hope this is helpful. There's a lot more to business write-offs, but I wanted to just draw a little bit of attention to kind of an easy expense you could start to take that, might be a little bit of fun and kind of help offset some of your income. All right, take care. Goodbye.